Hi, this is David Perrodin, and I will be your instructor for Inclusion of Students with Special Needs, Education 605. The course will officially begin on Monday, January 11th, and it will conclude on Friday, March 4th. So what I want to do right now is take a few minutes to talk about the class and how the class is laid out, class expectations, and then touch on a few other points and wrap it up. So first of all, I am going to open the course ahead of time, and I will email all of you and let you know that probably at least 3 to 5 days. So you can get in, take a tour of Moodle, download the syllabus. What the course will look like, it's laid out in 7 modules. And a module is basically 1 week, except the final module is a little bit longer. And you will see the first module when you log in, plus you'll also see ePortfolio information. And then as we get into the second week, the second module will appear, and the first module will still stay there, and so on until all the modules are present. The reason I do that instead of putting all of the modules out right at once is I don't want people to jump ahead and try to do all the assignments in a weekend. The course really builds upon itself and upon the discussion that we have in the threads. So to introduce the material kind of at a staggered pattern seems to work very well. On January 11th, the first day of class, your biography is due. So there is a thread in Module 1 to post it. I've already posted mine, but that is a requirement. And part of that has to do with financial aid to indicate that you participated in class the first day. But please go in and make sure that you post your bio. You can share a photo of yourself, of family, whatever you wish, but make sure that you get in and do that on January 11th. One of the things too, I'm going to open the class up early, but please do not go in and start posting before the 11th. It's fine to go in and to take a tour, ask any questions if there's anything you're not sure about, but don't start posting until the class officially begins on the 11th. I'm going to update the gradebook typically a couple days after each module, so you'll be able to go in and see how you're doing in the class. Now, with that said, there are numerous discussion threads throughout the course, and I will make a number of responses throughout the course, but I will not respond to every single post that you make, and just for the sheer volume, of that in a class. But I do read everything, and you will receive a grade for all of your posts. So typically, again, when I'm looking for a post, and you'll see I'll start making posts right away, and you can kind of take my lead, but I'll copy probably a significant statement from another person's post, and then I'll elaborate on that. What we really want in this class is for a discussion thread to have 5, 6, 7, 8 additional posts underneath it, not just 1 or 2. So please go in and be an active poster. As far as me grading your threads, it's a little bit of a roll of the dice for you. I mean, I'm going to go in and read your threads, and if I happen to decide to grade one where you didn't go as in depth, that might not receive the same grade as if you did produce a more in-depth response. What do I mean by that? If you're producing something of 50 words or greater that contributes to the content of the thread, keeping things going, that's going to be fine. But I mean, if you're adding a sentence or 2 to something and it really doesn't advance the topic, that's not worth putting in. We do have a questions section up in the cafe, and you can ask any question you want, and anybody in here can answer it. So if somebody says, I'm not sure how to check how many posts I've made, and someone sees it, they can jump in. One of the first things I do when I log in is I always check the questions thread, and that'll be my first area. What you need to do when you log in is to check the announcements. That'll always be up toward the top, and I will date every time there's a new announcement that goes up to make sure that if there's something I'm posting about the assignment's been graded, return to your grade book, or grade book's been updated, or something to that effect. The deadlines for discussion posts and for assignments are listed right in the Moodle module. So that should be black and white. It's not in the syllabi, but it's on the module. And please make sure that you're making the time frames. If you're not, or if I haven't seen you in the class, for 5-6 days, I'm going to try to get a hold of you by text or phone or email or whatever it takes. Because certainly, this is kind of fast paced going through a little over 7 weeks for this course and the amount of content. I have shifted things so the majority of your work is going to be due toward the end of the week. Obviously, I know most of you, if not all of you, are teachers. So, during the week, it's going to be hopefully time when you can get some of the reading done. And obviously, you can post early. So again, think about it. You're going to post and then go in and start making responses to other people's posts. You'll see what I'm doing, and again, take my lead off of that. But please be very active in posting. You don't have to agree with what I say. You don't have to agree with what's presented. If you have a counter position, please share that, respectfully. So we have some key assignments. One is a timeline of inclusion, and there is a sample of that I have posted in the module once we get to it. And basically that's taking 15 points, and it might be legal points, or let's say it's legal, so you could take over, from 1800 to now 15 consecutive legal cases or laws which have impacted inclusion. So that might be an example, but there is going to be an example posted for you, and the directions are pretty explicit. There will be another assignment which will require you to observe a teacher. Now, if you're not currently teaching, you can contact a teacher, or with this assignment, maybe you can contact another classmate who's teaching. It might take a little bit of reaching out to find someone who's actively participating in teaching, but it's really to talk about, and again, this will be laid out in the module. Are they co-teaching? Is it teach and assist? Is it stations? And also discussion about universal design for learning. How does that play out? So that will be another assignment. So really, you're going to post those things to the discussion thread. Other students can open it. They can look at it. They can comment. I will ultimately post a grade in your gradebook for it. No one else will see that. And finally, we have the Bill Porter assignment. That is a substantial assignment due at the end of class, and that's why you do have basically 2 weeks in that last module, because I do introduce that assignment a little bit earlier because it takes a little more time to develop it. It is basically the Bill Porter story involves a man. You can go on YouTube and find the 2020 special, which actually I'll have a link to. But Bill Porter was a man with cerebral palsy. He became a door-to-door salesman in Portland, Oregon. It became extremely successful, but went through a time when inclusion really wasn't embraced in schools, and had to endure a lot of bullying, a lot of limited opportunity. And what you're going to do, knowing Bill's outcome, is you're going to play that in reverse and put Bill as, for example, if you teach 4th grade, then Bill could be a 4th grader who's starting at your school. Or if you teach high school, social studies, he could be in your class. You can be really flexible with that. So, and if it's a private school, let's just say that Bill is coming to your school, how would you prepare yourself for Bill? By the time we get to that, we've gone through universal design for learning and a lot of discussion about inclusion. So you're going to be ready for that assignment. It's exciting. It's an exciting assignment, and it's always fun to read because it is more of a narrative. I'm not looking for anything specific done in APA. It's more written in the style of, I was informed today that I will have a new student next week, and his name is Bill Porter. And then here's how I'm going to go about getting to know Bill. Here's how I'm going to learn about cerebral palsy. Here's how I'm going to work with staff. and students to learn about CP and to learn about Bill, and here's how I'm going to assess our environment here at school for barriers, and here's possible accommodations, ways to help out Bill. Now, when people lose points on that assignment, it almost always is because they do not follow the rubric. There are two sections at the end of the rubric. One is to identify clubs or activities that Bill could be a part of for social interaction, and the last part is to identify outside agencies to support Bill. And sometimes people will gloss over those or leave those off. So make sure when you do the assignment that you look at the rubric and make sure that your assignment answers everything that's on the rubric. Because again, that's where almost everybody who has struggles with this assignment, that's where it comes from, is they just haven't aligned the assignment to the rubric. So please don't let that be you. Because again, I've seen some really terrific plans that just didn't end up earning the points because they didn't match the rubric. Our last day is Friday, March 4th, and that will be the day that the Bill Porter plan is due. Please make sure that it is due that day. I do try to have a fast turnaround. I will hand grade that paper, meaning I'll print it off. I will grade it in pen. I will scan it back in, and I will return it to you. The Bill Porter assignment is your keystone assignment, meaning that is the one that will go into your e-portfolio. You would upload the one that hasn't been graded, but you'll receive your graded paper back. It'll come back in your gradebook as a PDF, but again, it'll have all my handwritten notes on it. The other assignments won't have that, but the Bill Porter one will go through and you'll actually see my handwriting and my purple pen. Let me know if any discrepancies that you find in the class between the syllabus, the class, anything with Moodle. Every once in a while, something appears, it may be an incorrect date, or it could be a link has stopped working or something like that. I go through and I check everything very thoroughly, but it is a format where once in a while something does, like that might sneak by, or just happens during class where I checked the link, hey, it worked a week ago, now it doesn't work right now. So just make me aware of that. Those should be rare instances when those happen, and I will respond to them quickly. So there's a book that you need for this class, and that is, I will include that with this email. It's also posted within the course itself and within the syllabus. Let's see, I don't have a copy of it available right here at the moment, but make sure that you purchase the book and do that right away. A lot of the course discussion and assignments actually are based off of the book. So I will have, read pages 35 through 59 and specific parts that I'll have you get into detail about. So if you don't have the book, it isn't going to work for you. I remember back in my second year of college, I didn't have the book for a history course, and tried to do the course without the book, and that did not turn out well for me. So hopefully no one will try to replicate that. But the book is available. I have let the bookstore know if they don't have it. It is on typically on Amazon, or you can find it on eBay. It is pretty available. But again, please make sure that you have the book right away for the course, because there is a significant amount of the course that's related to the book. And I have, one of the things I focus on a lot in this course is universal design for learning. And that's different than a few years ago when I instructed this course. A few years ago, I probably focused more on disability education and awareness, which is still an important part of this course, but I've really kind of moved my stance into universal design for learning, because what that does is of course it benefits all students. And with technology advancing, for example, to have smart boards and to have personal devices and maybe predictive text software and stuff like that, those things are going to benefit all students. So that's one of the things that we'll talk a lot about in this class, is universal design for learning. And sometimes if a video link isn't working, make sure that you try Google Chrome or Safari, because typically I'll be able to view whatever is posted, but once in a while a student will email and say it's not coming up, and I'll email back and say please try it in another browser, and then typically it works. And if you can see that your peers are able to view it, then obviously you know it's something up with the browser that you're using. I think it's an interesting time for inclusion for a number of reasons right now. And you know, one of those is we're really starting to see some mainstream inclusion that's being represented in movies. And a few examples of that. One is Wreck-It Ralph, which is kind of a favorite of mine. My daughters enjoy it. But Vanellope, if you study Vanellope, you could say that she has, epilepsy. So, that is kind of subtly described as, a glitch within the movie. Going back to Nemo, Nemo having the smaller fin. But we're really seeing a portrayal of differences or disability in a very enlightening, positive educational way for children within contemporary movies. So it's something, it wasn't there a few years ago, and now it is. So definitely I think children are more exposed to understanding, for example, when you go to Walmart, that some people are going to be using the scooters. I remember when I first saw that, which would have been years ago, that was a big thing because it just didn't happen before. Now it's so commonplace that you could do shopping at Walmart. I could shop and 10 people's scooters could pass me and I wouldn't pay attention to any of it. It just would be so commonplace and just part of the accommodations that society has evolved and has made for people. So I've instructed this class for a number of years in face-to-face, blended, and online format. If this is one of your first online courses, please don't worry about it. You'll do fine. If you need to contact me, please do. You can log on. I can log on. I can walk you through some things. Anything that you post, if there's a mistake, I can undo your post. You cannot crash the system. And please, be candid, be yourself, be open. And I think that's when we have the best discussion, is when someone is willing, for example, to admit, to say, hey, I don't know much about, for example, cerebral palsy. So if I would be, maybe intimidated a little bit if Bill or someone came into my classroom, a student with cerebral palsy, because I don't know much about it. So here's how I would go about learning, and here's how I would go about building a team of peers to support me. I think that's one of the biggest things when we talk about the barrier of inclusion. It's people pull back when something is different. They don't understand. And when you don't understand, it's easy to do us versus them kind of philosophy, and also just to be anxious and apprehensive. And I've seen that with exceptional teachers who just become overwhelmed when a student comes in and they haven't had the professional development or the previous experience to really understand how to meet that student's needs. And that usually weaves into the school needing to maybe put together a better support team for that teacher and so forth. But let me see. I'm going to quickly go over my points, and I think I've covered everything. And I will probably periodically do a couple update videos during class and do a little reflection back on what you've posted in some threads and also in some assignments, and give my feedback on that. So I'm very excited to be instructing this course. It is my hallmark course for Viterbo. I actually teach it in the reading program, a post-bachelor program, and in the special ed education program. So each has its own different flair to it. It's a core belief of mine, though, and I think you'll see that ring true throughout the course. Anything that you have to contribute, please feel free to bring that forward or to email me and say, hey, I have this document and I think it would benefit the course. You'll see some of that as you go into the course. Something might say this was provided by a previous student. So yes, absolutely feel free to do that, to contact me, and I'd be glad to look at something and possibly share it with the class. So well, that's it. I'm looking forward to our time together. So please make sure that you go in and make that post the first day, Monday, January 11th. Get your biography posted. Make sure that you order the book for this class, and I would say make sure that you're checking the class, if not every day, every other day, just to go in and to see what's been posted. If I do notice that you haven't accessed class for 4 or 5 days, expect to be getting an email, a phone call, a text from me or something like that. With a 7-week format, basically 7 weeks, this class moves along at such a pace that if you are missing that amount of time, you can really start to become disconnected from kind of the feel of the class. So, and there is no such thing as making too many posts. Go in and enjoy it. Thank you, and please contact me if you have any questions.